Hi people. Mining super tax. Headlines here. Swan rules out tax slug after mining hall flop. Ruled out
Austerity.
increasing
Austerity.
private employment tax, personal income tax.
Is coming to Australia.
Usually when governments say that they're not going to bring anything in, or they're not going to increase these things, they usually happen. 9 times out of 10. It's like the carbon tax that was never going to come in. They brought that in. The mining super tax, supposedly to have brought in $2 billion and has only brought in 126 million. We're going down the same path as America. A lot of our, heaps of manufacturing have gone offshore. We've got the telephone companies offshoring stuff, heaps of people offshoring stuff to cheap labour markets. I've mentioned this before in previous videos. We're pricing ourselves out of the market. We've got Rio Tinto here in the west, or up the northwest of Australia, laid off 350 workers the other week, just sent them home. Nobody had an inkling what was happening. They have reported a 2-point-something billion dollar loss for 2012. You've got BHP that have laid off people, other mining companies that have laid off people. You know, the government was relying on this mining super tax to generate, what I just mentioned, $2 billion. And it hasn't. They've promised all this spending. In actual fact, they're cutting spending, especially to health and into a big part into education. But health seems to get kicked every time. You know, you've got nurses striking here, there and everywhere at different times. You've got the ACCC investigating Coles and Woolworths, excuse me, over their bullying of some of their suppliers. I mean, this is what always happens when companies have a monopoly on something. They control everything, so they can please themselves what they do. They make the rules, not a problem. You got all this stuff, all this food that's being imported from all over the world. There's something about pork meat from China the other day, with dosed with antibiotics or whatever the hell it was. We shouldn't be importing any food. You know, these countries that this stuff's coming from, cheap labour markets, and it's cheap to buy it. You don't know what they put in their products, because that's the nature of the beast. They'll do anything to make it quid. I've mentioned here before, in Australia, we should be supporting our farmers 1,000 times more than we support them now. We should be growing heaps and heaps of food and exporting it. We do now, but I mean we should be doing it tenfold. Nowhere in the world should we be importing food into this country. It's bad enough having all these illegal immigrants coming to this country, and other people that come to this country with dreaded diseases that aren't picked up, particularly tuberculosis, because that's the nature of the beast again. They come from basically third world countries where they live in bloody poverty. With the banks still making billions a quarter, though I noticed today the ANZ were down a bit, but they still made over whatever it was, over billions of dollars anyway, a quarter. Every 3 months. I've also mentioned that that's who they should be taxing, instead of trying to tax the shit out of ordinary working people. I mean, we're going down the same path as America, where a majority of our manufacturing has gone already out of this country to third world countries, cheap labour, and gets imported back here. So that means that people lose their jobs. I see in the paper today something about Holden saying that it's a good thing that the government subsidise them. That's a foreign, I've mentioned that before, that's a foreign company. It's Yankee owned. I mean, this furniture outfit that's closing down in Sydney and going offshore, I mean, that's an old Australian company. Whether someone else owns it now, I don't know. Most of our Australian companies have been bought out by overseas companies anyway. Just like how all our farming land's getting bought by overseas interests. Never-ending story. We're all going to end up in the shit like America. America's going to go down the gurgler. At the end, I think on the 1st of March, I think all the new taxes and everything else come into America. It's rooted now. There's so much unemployment in America. Half the stuff you don't see on the mainstream media. They don't report it. It's the same as all the stuff that's going on in Europe, all the riots, all the protests, because of austerity. Exactly what this song's all about. And it's coming to Australia. Now Swan today he's saying that he won't increase personal income tax. Bet your balls he does. Guarantee it. They've got no other stream of revenue apart from this mining super tax. It's a load of shit. It's like the carbon credit, carbon pollution bloody tax. Load of crap. If you read anything about the European model of carbon tax, the reason why they brought it in is to try and cut our pollution down. Well, if you read anything, like I said, if you read anything about the European model, you'll find out that they've gathered in so many billions of dollars since it's been going, but their pollution has risen. It's gone up. It hasn't gone down. Chicago Trading Company went broke a few years ago. Trading credit company. Some of the other credit companies that were set up in America in different states no longer exist. It's a load of shit. I've mentioned before, it's a con, it's a scam. Just like everything else. All this big money play. We're going down the same road. Austerity, super mining tax, GST, that'll be the next thing they'll increase. Personal income tax and GST. Guarantee it. I'm just waiting for the day they put capital gains on our personal private homes. That'll be on the cards, you can guarantee it. Bought a house for 50 grand 30 years ago. Might be worth $1 million now. You'll pay capital gains on the difference between 50,000 and $1 million.
One world power.
One world power.
Government.
One world government.
One army. One world bank. Yeah. Gotta screw Australia.
It's all happening, people.
Austerity.
That means they're going to screw us.
Austerity.
Each and every one of us.
Austerity. Austerity.
IMF.
World Bank. One world power.
Right, catch it, people.